second game of the night as Velocity Esports take on Team Curse. Rapid with me is Studio. We're out onto the Rift for game number 2. Now, Velocity Esports coming into this match are somewhat the underdogs, but within each of them is the ability to not only take down some incredibly strong lane opponents, but also to turn around games you'd never see coming.
Yeah, and Velocity does have a team comp that can very easily spiral out of control. For example, let's say Evaniscus lands a stun in the bot lane. From Maple Street can follow up with an auto attack reset, where he auto attacks once, procs Ricochet, and just resets all that damage, and then follows it up with a Boomerang Blade for just heavy DPS. So there's a lot of cool things that can happen across the board for Velocity. They have a lot of cool setups like the Annie-Sivir combination, like pretty much anything Riven can do versus Olaf is interesting in some way. The question is, can they stay positive? Can they maintain momentum? Can they really get out of control? It looks like they're looking for a bot lane invade. However, a ward will spot them out. That ward will not be long for this world, though, as he might have just saved Boy's life, might have just saved that blue buff's life in favor of Curse.
All right, so no early aggression early on. I like Quas's positioning in the upper tri-brush that basically single-handedly guards the entire top jungle because of that early ward around the Wraith camp. And with Cop covering mid, even though they're not spread out over every single entrance, with the ward coverage, they've managed to make sure that they ensure themselves probably the safest start that they possibly could. So not looking for any early aggression. Curse just want to start this game off on even footing. It's going to be the mid lane Ezreal from Fragnatic going up against Boy in the mid lane on that Vladimir. Now, this is the second time we've seen Vladimir mid, and while Bishu didn't have the strongest game with it, how do you feel about that versus the Ezreal matchup?
It's a similar situation where Bishu will have control early. Or if Bishu has control early, it's a bad situation for Pragmatic because Boy, so I'm stuck in Bishu mode now, because Boy can just kind of sustain, farm up, do his thing. So it's up to Pragmatic to play aggressively now when Mystic Shot will just devastate Boy, because the longer he waits, the less his auto attacks will really end up doing, because Boy's sustain will increase by so much. Aggression in the bot lane, though, is Zeke taken very low, at about 200 HP. And auto attacks from Annie as well as the damage from Incinerate are tremendous, especially at level 1. It's about 140 damage with that combination.
Now, a lot of times you'll see hybrid runes or hybrid marks on Evaniscus, but he's just running flat magic penetration so far. So auto attack's not going to do all that much. Evaniscus just walked up, took a Lightbringer to the face, and walked backwards. So I'm not sure if he was just sort of feigning aggression, but either way, first gank of the game goes down bottom lane. It's Chris, forced to flash, still able to sustain in lane using his health potion. So it's going to be Dominate. He's going to stay up there for just a little bit longer.
Evaniscus is actually missing his stun on Zeke in bottom lane. This is just something that happens with Evaniscus every now and then. He will just miss the Annie stun with Incinerate, which is unfortunate. He's comfortable in the champion, but I think just that early aggression, that early damage he took from Cop kind of just got his mind out of whack for a bit. Hopefully he can recover from that, though. And with that flash burn top and the fact that Chris was already forced to burn his health potion, it's going to be a decent chance for Quas just to try and play aggressively. Riven now has her full kit, though. Maple Street now low in the bot lane.
Yeah, Maple Street going to go down to the next auto attack. One more hit. He's going to barrier it underneath the turret. Cop takes a turret shot and will back on out away. I'm not sure how Maple Street knew that the next auto attack wouldn't kill him, but he survives with like 10 hit points, and so they're kind of a little bit too close for me, but we'll make it back to base alive and heal himself back up. Double Doran's Blade to start from him, whereas Cop with, let's check out the gold in his inventory, has about 600, should be able to stay in lane to farm up at least a Vampiric Scepter.
I mean, apparently, Maple Street just a mathematics genius. Mid lane Boy gets a little bit of trading on. He's just trying to play passively, though. He's behind in CS. That's bound to happen as Vladimir against a lot of matchups, especially if they have early game presence. So it's not that surprising, especially with his very, very bad ability to last underneath the turret early on in the game. His base damage is terrible. He's got one of the worst base damages in the game. And also has a bad attack animation and bad range. If you ever want to learn how to CS, practice on Vladimir with no attack damage runes and no spells being cast, because he will learn how to CS very quickly.
Yeah, it's really, really rough to do, especially against the constant harass that Ezreal has in that matchup, or, well, really in any matchup. NK Inc. spending a lot of time around that top lane, wants to get a Wither in onto Olaf. There's no cleanse, there's no ultimate just yet, as he is only level 4. So you will probably see an all-in coming in here, but I will dominate right there. There's going to be the Wither onto Quas, trying to make it back to the bushes, and as soon as Dominate's there, gets the knockup, gets the first blood, and now it's Quas, Dominate onto NK Inc., force the flash back to the turret, won't go for the dive. Quas very aggressive there, will give his jungler first blood.
Too many minions, too much damage. NK now in a bit of danger. They're going for the dive. Can they pick it up? One more auto attack, one more axe, one more nuke. Quas picks it up. Will he go down to the turret, though?
Quas goes down to the turret. So the last little turret shot, Dominate actually could have tanked the last shot, and it was expected that the turret would hit Dominate, and then Quas would get the last auto attack to finish off NK Inc. But he actually autoed right after NK Inc. got out of turret range, drew turret aggro, met his unfortunate untimely demise. So he's going to take his trip back to base the hard way, but we'll grab a Giant's Belt. It looks like a very defensive start to Olaf, because you just see him built a lot more offensively with like a Ravenous Hydra rush.
Yeah, it's a bit safer to go for the tankiness versus Riven. It lets him be a bit more aggressive in lane. If it wasn't Riven, if it was someone like, let's see, Aurelia, someone like Jax, he could go a bit more aggressive. But because Riven has so much sustain in terms of her shield, he wants to be able to just kind of outlast her and just play aggressively, poke her down a bit every now and then, as Evaniscus takes a decent chunk of damage, Zekin as well, as Trey's going on in the bot lane. That early kill is going to be huge, though, because Riven is now behind. And if you've ever seen a Riven play from behind, especially against a good laner like Olaf, it's rough, as Chris takes a lot of damage at top side. Quas could have actually chased that down, tried to apply even more, as the slow would still apply even through Chris's hops and jukes.
There's the, yeah, okay. Immediately, level 5 versus level 6, there's going to be Ragnarok available. In case you guys are unfamiliar with the new Olaf changes, it turns his defenses into offensive. Passively, he gains armor and magic resistance, and then when he hits the R button, he gets 40 attack damage and just runs at you, removing, of course, all the disables. And so, Riven has a lot of options in just like short little small skirmish trades, but really when Olaf hits R, you got to know the damage is coming at you. So Chris will probably be forced to play a little bit more defensively, at least until he gets to level 6 of his own.
Looks like there's going to be a quick rider reset going on. We'll check, make sure that's going everything's going on properly.
All right, so we are going to see some disconnects there from Velocity, but it shouldn't take too long to get them all back and ready to go into the game and get that all sorted out. But we actually have had 6 minutes and 50 seconds left of time to talk about. So if this were the 2-second pause that we're all so accustomed to, there would be a little bit less. But as we are a little bit further into the game, there is some stuff to point out. 1,000 gold lead already for Curse. And I don't know if that's Genja in the middle lane, but Fragnatic with the triple Doran's Blade versus Voyboy's Vladimir.
That's all of Velocity disconnecting. The exception being Fragnatic, who I believe is not the Velocity house, as the modem has been reset. The Triple Doran's Blade start is a neat pickup for Fragnatic. It's going to give him a lot of early control, a lot of early pressure, and it's a risk. It's a gamble in this case. He's trying to outplay and shut down Voyboy by being able just to do so much damage, sustained through everything Voyboy can put out, and he only had the money for Triple Doran's Blade. BF Sword would not provide a lot of sustain, and it's a bit more expensive, did not have the cash for it, and he's really just going to try and play offensively. At the same time, Voyboy, he's picked up the Revolver, he's now equal in CS. He can trade decently, but he can't trade for a long sustained fight. He doesn't have level 5 Transfusion, he doesn't have the Spectral Wraith quite yet, so no CDR. So it's going to be a rough situation for him if he can't hold the pressure. And Fragnatic really needs to take control of this. He needs to take control of the mid lane right now. Unfortunately, I Will Dominate's right there.
All right, so a couple of things are about to happen as soon as we get this unpaused. While I can't check directly, we're going to get Velocity back into the game, so we should be able to do that here in just a second. So 2 things are going to happen. Olaf, level 6 versus a level 5 Chris in the top lane. So Quas has a very strong advantage there. Could see some aggression to look for, but down there around the lower banana brush right below Voyboy, it's a possible engagement between I Will Dominate coming around the corner as he comes over to meet Fragnatic, who may or may not expect that. I can't really see if there's a ward there or not, and I think there is for Curse. I'm not sure if Fragnetic sees it just yet. So definitely a lot of potential there. We'll have to keep an eye on both of those. But I liked how you were talking about the weak early game for Vladimir and the way that Hextech Revolver works with that. But why do you think Fragnetic went for triple Doran's Blades? I mean, I guess the 15 health on hit is cool and everything, but it does set back any other further itemization he's looking for.
Kill that nerd is Fragnatic's mantra right now. He wants to kill Voyboy. He has to kill Voyboy. That is his option. Kill Voyboy or die. It's curse or die normally. Kill Voyboy or die situation right now. This is for lane control, and that's all it's going to provide him. Triple Doran's Blade, it's a situational build, but it's so much money invested. You don't get mobility, you just get the base HP, a good amount of AD, and life steal that will quickly fall off. I mean, a Vamp Scepter would probably give him similar to the Triple Dorans in terms of sustain right now, especially with Mystic Shot and the high damage that deals. There are ready checks coming out, though, so we should be unpausing soon. It's a really, like, Fragnatic really has to start doing really well in the mid lane right about now. He's got Ignite Up, he's got Mystic Shots, he's got very high damage Mystic Shots. It's going to be dangerous, it's going to be risky, and if he can pull this lane up, he can start getting kills or forcing Voyboy to miss CS, he'll have a lot of control. If not, that build's going to very quickly fall off.
All right, so we are going to see at level 6, you were talking about top lane, where I'm going to be paying attention to. No action absolutely anywhere else on the map. Dominate in his jungle. This is going to be Arcane, or the Two-Shot Barrage from Fragnatic. Just going to shove Voyboy back under his turret, but as Voyboy hits on closer to that level 9 power spike, he's going to hit the level 7 one first, and both of those are going to mean that there's actually a lot of strength in lane. Fragnatic playing this very, very safely, very securely, shouldn't be at too much risk for now. Blue buff gonna get started there by Dominate, who actually might take that for himself, as Vladimir, of course, does not need that mana. So looking for a gank to come off of that. It hasn't actually been that much of a heavy ganking kind of situation, but apparently it's gonna be a heavy pause situation as Velocity once again hit the pause button. Now this time around, it's Curse taking a little bit of an issue.
Apparently, internet problems just being transferred around the teams. Curse just like saying, hey, it's our turn now. But it looks like the team is ready. Look at the CS difference top lane. It's Fragnatic just being chunked down so hard in the mid lane. But 30 CS advantage right now for Quas. And he's not giving it up. He's not going all in for aggression, but he is making sure Chris isn't getting CS. And if Riven can't snowball, if Riven doesn't get ahead, especially against an Olaf, or just to transition into split pushing later versus Vladimir, she's going to be in such a dire position. She won't be able to do anything.
So for right now, junglers are jungling, laners are laning, and about the most standard situations you can see across the board. The big aggression is going to come from this top lane, as both junglers are topside jungle, as well as a lot of aggression. Oh my goodness, Quas having maxed out. He's actually split leveling both Reckless Swing and Undertow. So it is interesting to see not going just straight for the max on Reckless Swing, putting a little bit of points everywhere else. Double wards placed there in the side brush by top lane, and so overall junglers not really having that much of an impact, at least for now. Could see that change as Dominate looking for maybe an invade, maybe gonna come in behind the turret as Quas slow pushes a large wave underneath Chris's turret.
And if they do want to go for a top dive, while Riven has that big old wave that she just wants to kill built up, this will be huge. This will deny him so much.
Chris, though, gonna get locked up in the Cataclysm. Quas gonna have to get out of there. Pose Taste will make it out alive. No additional turret shots to take him out. Did blow Ghost, Ignite, and Ragnarok there, so Chris really wanted Chris dead.
It's a solid pickup. They'll lose Dragon for this, but in exchange, Chris not only died, but he lost about 20 CS. They can pick up the top turret. This is a great exchange for them because they're not just picking up an objective and exchanging it, they're also going to be able to deny so much CS, 40 CS difference for Chris. It's a level 8 Quas, who's relatively close to level 9, about halfway there, versus Chris, who is about halfway through level 6. So a solid 2-level advantage, as minions are just dying at the turret right now. The top turret does survive though, so the overall gold did go in favor of Velocity with the Dragon pickup. But even then, it's Riven. Riven is that top laner that loves to snowball. That if she can't stay in lane, if she can't really kill the person she's up against, or at least threaten them, then she just very, very quickly becomes irrelevant. Like, you can't really put Riven in a team fight right now. They can send Chris down to mid lane to try and survive versus Voyboy, which will be difficult. They can try and send him into a team fight, but he won't do a lot. He doesn't have too much utility at this point.
And whenever you think of Riven, it's always AO. Dive in the mid lane, though. Hemoplague on to NK Inc. He's trying to kite around. They're actually surviving a lot longer than I expected. Boy very low, but will finally get the kill over to I Will Dominate. Boy did blow his ghost there. He's running Ghost Flash instead of the Ghost Ignite.
Fight in the bot lane, actually. Being chased down by Evaniscus. Evaniscus does flash for the kill. Maple Street trying to chase down Cop, though.
Oh, Cop, please. Looking for the kill out of Maple Street, but no, it's Evaniscus coming out with the double kill. The Incinerate just off cooldown in time to burn him out there. And so Cop, Zekant both fall. Maple Street and Evaniscus look to be quite literally on fire.
Quite literally indeed, and actually really evening up the goal differences. Now, Chris
behind the middle turret. Windslash connects just with the tip. Catch and I Will Dominate, but will standard flag and drag his way back to safety. Very aggressive, and this is actually going to be a middle turret. So first 2 turrets of the game and a double kill in the bottom lane go the way of Velocity Esports.
I really love that decision to send Chris mid. And they didn't send him to a team fight, they sent him to push because they knew it would be a safe moment. Quad's gonna go aggressive onto Chris, though. Chris taking so much damage.
Undertow will land on it to Chris. Fragnatic there just to usher Quas away, so I guess that makes Fragnatic the doorman, and we'll push him back up there to the top lane. NK Inc.'s gonna try to take the easy route back into his own jungle. We'll find Chris out there and is able to trade back fairly effectively. I don't think Olaf's really ready to fight a Nasus just yet, but he's gonna look for a Sunfire Cape as his first item, just looking to tank up.
I really love the engagement, though, from Velocity bot lane. If they engage aggressively onto Zekin, it's very hard for Zekin to respond, because if he blows a crescendo, Sivir has a spell shield, can block that off, be a-okay. If he holds on to it, then he's being just completely devastated by the Tibbers auto attack, the anti-auto attack. Sivir, of course, has a pretty solid auto attack as well. And now Evaniscus and Maple Street up top side. I like this decision. They just have to watch out for I Will Dominate, who's looking for that kill. It does clear out that ward with a pink himself. And now he leaves top a bit more open to ganks, but looks like he'll roam just from the jungle a bit, waiting for a easier gank situation.
A lot of pressure on that bottom lane turret. It's left with only Chris to try to CS and keep it alive. It's down to half health, but I like the rotations, the shift top by Maple Street and Evaniscus. They're like, hey, we took down mid, we took down bottom. Now we're going to put the duo lane up top and hit a nice pause as Maple Street's going to take a little bit of a break.
Is that my boy coming out as the disconnection issues just going back and forth between the two teams, unfortunately. Now, with that gold advantage Velocity has, this is not something that's happened very often. They have not gained the gold advantage versus Curse too many times in the past. The question is, what do they do with it? Fragnatic in the mid lane has gone for the Quad Doran's Blade build. This is the build for people who want to do really well really early on in the matchup. Thing is, it doesn't scale well. This means that Boy, he's actually fine versus him mid lane. He's not going to die. He can out-trade him, he can out-sustain him. He got the Spectral Wraith, he got level 9. He's A-okay. So, I don't really know how they can use Fragnatic in a fight right now. Like, they don't have a lot of utility on their team. They have a lot of damage. They have a good stun from Annie. They have the move speed from Sivir. But Ezreal and Riven are essentially DPS at this point, and their damage isn't really that high. That's going to be the tricky part, bringing both Ezreal and Riven into a team fight. Or they could just go for laning, but their lanes are already losing except for that duo.
Yeah, a total of 8 Doran's Blades on Velocity, and while they have been getting objectives off of that, the double kill for Evaniscus, the 2 early turrets, while that's working out really well for them, it's going to stop working out as soon as we hit like the 15-20 minute mark and late game items start to be purchased. You're going to see a Sunfire Cape almost... there's actually a crescendo on it. Chris, he's going to go down there. It's just a little bit overextended and a nice capitalization on that. Zekant's just like, all right, time to go. Cop there with the damage to follow up. And Chris gets blown up right in front of his turret.
Not the worst death in the world because it actually does use a crescendo cooldown. And Chris is on his 3rd death. He's not worth that much. However, this does mean that bottom turret in a lot of danger now. I Will Dominate going forward for the push. Might be spotted out by... Fragnatic as he does retreat, so he knows that bottom turret now will probably go down, and top turret going to be kept relatively safe by Quas. This is something we saw a lot in Season 2. Olaf was king of the 1v2 lane. That's because those Axe are so good at stopping pushes that even if Evaniscus and Maple Street go aggressive, that turret should not go down.
There's going to be the aggression in middle lane. Hemoplague goes down, only hits onto NK Inc. Boy trying to kite things out, did pop that ghost, still has flash left available. No true shot barrage to follow it up for a possible snipe. 20 seconds until that. comes out, but boy, very aggressive, but not a whole lot accomplished off of that. Meanwhile, it's just Chris still in this 2v1. Top lane Quas has been able to defend very well. His turret is still full health, and it's been 2v1 for the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Think of the poke that Evaniscus and Maple Street. Actually, Chris down danger by his inhibitor turret, forced to flash, as now that tier 2 turret will be going down most likely. This is the issue. Ezreal doesn't do any damage. He built for Quad Doran's Blade, which is a lot of tankiness, it's a lot of lifesteal, but it's not a lot of damage because compare that to what he could buy a BF sword. He could be building into a Sheen for a Triforce, so he's just not doing as much damage as he possibly could be right now. And the result is that he can't do a whole lot. That mid lane gank should have been successful and would have been successful with a Sheen at this point, or just a bit more of a damaging build. But the utility from Doran's Blade, a lot of that utility goes towards health and sustain, and that's not really helping him at this point. They need more damage on their very damage-focused characters, which would be Ezreal and Riven. But they're just so far behind right now, partially because of Ezreal's build and partially because Riven has just not had a good time in lane.
I don't think I've ever seen an Ezreal build that involved 4 Dorans or an Avarice Blade. I think that's Static Shiv. It's an item, but not necessarily one that you traditionally think of on an AD carry who usually will get like a Trinity Force, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, all items that Fragnatic will have about 30 minutes from now. So either way, the Avarice Blade has given him a bonus 179 gold. So it'll be a while until it pays for itself, but in the meantime, it's going to be an NK Inc. ultimate there on to the Dragon. Dominates there right up in his face. Fragnatic coming in from the side. Dominate just looking for the smite steal. Will he get it? Yes, it does! Dominate lands the smite, and there's gonna be Crescendo catches on to NK Inc. There's the Emo playing right on top of him and to Chris. Chris gonna get knocked up there, gonna take a lot of damage. Amplification. Does he die over the wall? No flash. There's the I Will Dominate to secure the kill behind the Dragon Pit. It's Zeka taking a lot of damage. The exhaust on the Pragmatic. Quas in the middle, trying to take down Evaniscus. Can he find the kill? No, but he will take down both NK Inc., Chris, and now finally Evaniscus dying. Zeka will fall to Maple Street, who comes in, cleans up, and it's a 3-for-3 Dragon, though. Smote stolen away by I Will Dominate.
It's a 3-for-3, and with that Dragon and the top turret going towards Curse, like you mentioned, as it looks like there's another disconnection issue. I do like what Curse did that fight. They ignored Fragnatic, and fortunately, because of the numbers advantage for Velocity, they were able to turn that fight around, but they ignored Fragnatic for just a long while because he's not that damaging. He will have a static shift now, though. That's going to be a big turnaround point. We've seen this come out from Tristana's in the past, where you go for the early static shiv just for the constant harass and the wave clear. So if this decision is going to be more of a team fight now with you get static shiv style build, then Fragnatic can start doing a whole lot because the AoE damage on static shiv and the constant pressure from Mystic Shot do scale very well with each other. It looks like just some weird issues going on for Velocity right now, and Dominate apparently fell out of his chair, so Curse will be helping him out of it. This is not the first time a player from Curse has said they've fallen out of their chair, and it doesn't sound...
I was going to say, I thought it was Top that falls out of his chair. I'm not sure.
Top and Dominate have fallen out of their chairs.
Multiple times. Well, we're going to assume that that's their issue. Router issues have been resolved, and only 2 people on each team have to worry about actually being connected, as the other 3 on each team are unfortunately dead. So at least for now, we're going to see that Dragon go over the way of Curse, but now it's going to be Maple Street coming in onto Cop. We'll get a couple of free auto attacks there, as the Spell Shield could have used that on a Lightbringer, but didn't have enough damage, or on the Piercing Light, rather. And I was corrected earlier, it's Light Slinger, not Light Bringer, because apparently that means Lucifer in some languages, so couldn't quite put that on there. But either way, it's going to be a nice focus by Velocity to keep their turrets alive. They were up 2-0 early on, but have now equalized at 3-3 with all outer turrets down for Curse, with the exception of that mid lane, because of course they took 2 down bottom off of a nice gank by Dominate. So where are you looking for the big key objective to come? We've seen 3 turrets taken for each team. Is it going to be the mid turret for Curse, or are they going to look for the next Dragon respawn?
The question is, do they want to transition to team fights? They had really solid engagement before, but that was because Velocity was in a tight group around the Dragon Pit. Like, they had a strong advantage going into that fight. They could just try and play a laning game, wait for objectives like Dragon to spawn out, or go for mid turret. That's going to be their 2 decisions. It looks like they're going to focus a bit more on laning, at least for the moment. If Void Boy, for example, could always use a bit more farm. Vladimir is someone who you want to finish that core item So he's got the Spectral Wraith. Now it's going to be a Zhonya's, it seems, to be that core team fight item. Last team fight, he did die relatively quickly had he had the Zhonya's, or just the active, not even the full stats. It would have kept him alive, and he could have kept fighting on. So they might be waiting for Voiboy to buy that item. They could be waiting for just a quick objective to spawn, and they can try to respond to Velocity's attempt to either defend that or go for it, or they can just try and wait for more map control as they just pick up the objectives themselves. Essentially, Curse is just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, and Voiboy actually went for very early boots of lucidity with the distortion upgrades. So usually you'll see third tier boots picked up very much later on, but Voiboy recognized, hey, I'm gonna need very low cooldowns of my Ghost and Flash, but currently those distortion upgrades aren't really doing anything for him. I mean, once he is forced to use those summoners, then sure, the cooldowns kick in, but that's gonna be gold that does delay him, like you mentioned, from that Zhonya's Hourglass. He will be able to farm more safely and therefore more effectively because he will have those summoners up. But in the mid lane, we're going to see Comp going in 1v1 versus Fragnatic. Comp going to get some help. The knockup coming in, but it's Frag in a 1v1, taking him down. Comp will fall to Fragnatic falls to Dominate. Sona will die as well. Maple Street gets in there with On the Hunt, and Dominate comes out alive. Mr. Tibbers there for moral support, but it's Quas coming in. Hemo Plague on to 2, dive behind the turret. Will not commit to that. Voiboy's going to come out of that Sanguine Pool. He's going to take a lot of damage for his troubles. Flashes over the wall. Has used both of those summoners, so this is where the distortion upgrades kick in. Knock up onto NK keeps Voiboy safe for now. Dominate going to take a little bit of damage there, but Quas, moral support from the sidelines, will get him back out alive. So overall, it's a 1-for-1, but even still, I'm going to give a little bit of an advantage in that fight to Curse.
A very, very odd engagement. Just kind of Cop and Fragnatic running at each other. Even Cop moving forward to try and dodge the True Shot Barrage. Had he dodged it, might have been a bit more even of an exchange. But overall, across the board, it's odd to see that happen. However, Velocity, if they keep Sivir alive, if they keep Sivir auto attacking, even if they keep Fragnatic alive as well, they've got so much raw damage coming out that they can shred through Voiboy. They can shred through Quas. I Will Dominate is the major member of Curse right now. He's hard to kill. He's incredibly damaging because of his levels. And with that Luck of the Iron Solar, he can get good positioning. His actually now engagement on the Comp, he does boost away from the Wither. Of course, Relentless Pursuit does remove all slows, so it's going to be hard to lock him down with that. But essentially, right now, Velocity is looking for just a team fight where Sivir won't be dove on immediately. And if Curse doesn't dive on her, if Maple Street is not contained, his damage with Bloodthirster is insane. Also, that Static Shift really doing a lot of work for Fragnatic mid lane. He was able to take out Cop in a 1v1, which I wouldn't expect, but the Static Shift was providing just enough damage to really give him that 1-up in a fight.
Yeah, you used to see this way back in Season 1. You'd have the Misfortune build where you'd go like 4 Doran's Blades into Wriggle's Lantern and Last Whisper. And you were so tanky early on that nobody could really touch you. And then you scaled with Last Whisper, and then you bought your items as you sold your Doran's Blades. And while that's not an option anymore, it's a little bit of a throwback here. We'll have to wait for those Doran's Blades to start hitting the shop. But another Avarice Blade actually now bought onto Maple Street. So Velocity, big fans of Gold Generation on hit, and starting to sell the Doran's Blades. There's going to be 1 down for a Bilgewater Cutlass, another item that you don't necessarily see from Ezreal's these days.
Could be a Blade of the Rune King. Could be a Gunblade.
This is true, huh?
It will not be a Gunblade.
Studio. That's a bold prediction, Studio. We'll see if it pays off.
I will not make that prediction because that is a very weird item that's not that bad, but because of the fact that he's a supplementary AD carry along with Sivir. Blade of the Rune King provides a lot of utility, and actually Dragon being taken down right now. Velocity might fight this.
There's the smite coming out from Dominate, but he's going to dunk down immediately. Evaniscus and NK Inc. get caught up. There's the culling coming in from the background. And NK Inc. not long for this world will finally go down. Comp gets jumped on by Chris, just absolutely melted. Chris trying to get away, will not be able to escape. And Dominate now dominating, living up to his name. Q's continue to come out. There's the damage. Static Shift forcing the flash out of Dominate, who makes it back out alive. It's a 1-for-3 Dragon and the team fight, both in favor of Team Curse, who extend themselves to a 5,000 gold lead.
Fortunate for Velocity, they didn't know the Dragon had just died. It was a beautiful initiation by Evaniscus, hitting, I believe, 3 members of Curse with his stun. Initiation on a Fragnatic, though. He does get hit by the slow. Quas doesn't have a reason to stop, though.
Yeah, Undertow does land forces Maple Street to head on out of there, and Pragmatic though, he kind of pieced the scene in a hurry there. Both Arcane Shift and Flash out there just to escape from Quas's Olaf. Now, Quas has gone for full tank items. He has Doran's Shield, Ninja Tabi, as well as the Randuin's Omen. There we go. And a Sunfire Cape. So it's all armor all the time. Knows exactly what he's going up against. There's no ability power on Curse on Velocity, rather, with the exception of Evaniscus. And with 26 ability power just from runes, I'm not sure that's going to cut it.
It's scary, but you know, it's the support, unfortunately. And even with Leandri's, Evaniscus would not be that threatening. It's a solid build because Olaf does scale quite well from attack damage, but the primary focus for Quas is going to be staying alive in fights, providing that slow debuff and go for a very more sustained fight. Essentially, the slow from Undertow combined with Voyboy sustained damage combined with I Will Dominate Control. It's actually aggression on Evaniscus now.
Evaniscus is going to get hit by the culling, but Cop kind of moves out of range, and now it's Dominate. Forced to disengage. Mr. Tibbers hits a two-man stun over the wall, but it's Cop all over Evaniscus. Evan goes down, and now it's actually going to be a turn. NK Inc. will flash over the wall, trying to get it onto Cop. Won't be able to wither him just yet. Takes a lot of damage. Now it's going to be Dominate coming in there, and NK Inc.'s running straight into Cop. There's actually going to be a Hemoplague two-man. Chris will fall from this if it's allowed to explode immediately. Zonj is coming out from Voyboy. It's going to be safe for now. Flashes out, stays alive. That's those distortion boots at work, man. Keeping him up there. Cop goes in, takes down Pragmatic. The fight continues, and only Maple Street left alive.
Unfortunately, I Will Dominate a bit too tanky, Quas a bit too tanky, Voyboy a bit too tanky. Like you mentioned, only physical damage really coming out from Velocity. There's a little bit of AP, a little bit of magic coming out, but for the most part, it's physical. And what's the result? Every member of Curse that built tanky and it has some significant armor item does not get taken down. It was a good, once again, ultimate by Evaniscus, but it was off to the side, and really Velocity, they don't have a solid initiator, they don't have a solid tanker besides NK Inc. And once he split off, they forced NK Inc. to go for the dive as Chris was being poked off. Once NK Inc. is taken care of, they just need to CC him for a sec, and they can dive right onto Velocity. Curse has no qualms going towards Evaniscus, diving onto Maple Street, diving onto Pragmatic. And they really need to do something about the tankiness and need Last Whispers, but those are expensive items given the context, you know, 2,000 so gold, and Maple Street only has 1,000, Pragmatic only has 1,200 himself. It's going to be hard for them to pick up the items they need to shred through that Jarvan armor, to shred through Quas, who is also very tanky himself.
Well, you can also go to the Bank of Dorans and start shedding some of those Doran's blades. Now, let's see, a total of 7 remaining on to Velocity Esports. It's very hard to find champions who can itemize correctly for a Frozen Heart, but that's exactly the route Quas is going to go. He's going to buy every single anti-AD carry item in the entire game. Frozen Heart, Ninja Tabi, as well as Randuin's Omen, Sunfire Cape, Doran's Shield. It's all just I love to be a tank in games like this because you only have to buy one kind of tank item, and because Quas does true damage, I don't think he's worried about building too much of that from itemization. Now it's going to be Cursed looking for an engage. Evaniscus not going to get knocked up, drops the Tibbers, but it's not going to do almost anything. Is now Chris and Evan get locked up in the Cataclysm. It's Pragmatic the first to fall. This Quas getting out of there as he did tank up, and now it's his time to leave the fight. The rest of Curse's time to shine. NK Inc. continues to get damaged down onto him, but will we see the slow power core? There it is, a triple kill from Cop. Not quite Cop-like, 6-3 and 6. Very, very strong right now. Curse look to push in for the game.
They can definitely take the game right now. They've just been so dominant in these team fights, so in control. They can't deal with Dominant, they can't deal with Quas, they can't deal with Woodboy. They're too tanky. Too much damage coming out just from the base skills of a lot of these characters. And then, of course, Cop in the background, Zeke with a follow-up crescendos. Too much CC, too much mitigation, too much damage coming out of Curse right now. Velocity, their picks were working out well for a while. A lot of it was Evaniscus and Maple Street just stuck in the 2v2, taking very good control of it. But now that these team fights are breaking out, Evaniscus, his initiation is solid, but he can't hit everybody. He can't stop Quas. And aside from that, in terms of hard CC, they're pretty limited. Evan's now caught out.
Evan's gonna get popped immediately. Cop goes in there, takes him down. Cop now unstoppable. Dominating Cop unstoppable. And I like where things are going for Curse. They need to have a guy named, if RF Legendary just like defected over to Curse and became their top laner, I think we all know how he'd do every single game. But even still, things really working out. Frozen Heart now completed onto Quas's Olaf. And good night. If he didn't die earlier, he's definitely not going to die now. Even as another chain vest. When you check out his armor levels, 388, almost 400 armor on Quas right now. And I don't think he's lacking in damage department either.
The question is that a GA or is that a Thornmail? I would love to see a Thornmail right now on Quas because it means Maple Street would get no sustain off of attacking him. Same thing with Ezreal. They would actually probably lose HP just from going off of auto attacks. This is an issue you run into when you have a purely physical team. You mitigate against it. You can build around one type of damage. It happens quite often with magic damage teams as well, but you always have an AD carry, so it's not as often happening. It's a 12 kill lead though for Curse. They're ahead by 13k. They can just start a team fight whenever they please. Crescendo available in about 40 seconds on Zekin. It looks like they might just push bot lane. I mean, they're so powerful right now. I don't know how Velocity can stop it. They need the God Evaniscus 5-man ultimate, and then every follow-up, Chris's damage, Pragmatic Soul, Boomerang Blade, to hit everybody in that ultimate.
With a strong push into the bottom lane, we see Dominate starts the damage with the culling coming in, hits onto onto Chris there. Oh my lord! Chris almost dies from the Hemo Plague, starts to try to escape but cannot get away. It's a double kill for Boy. The boy going deep. Can he get the kills onto NK Inc. and Pragmatic? And will make his way out, stays alive, Wither down. So is the second inhibitor of the game in the bottom lane. And now Curse actually looking to close out the game. A godlike performance by I Will Dominate. Curse looked to take the first base or Nexus turret of the game. Now then King forced back to base. The heal will hit the home guard bonus, but not enough to refresh his health. And it's going to be one Nexus turret down, second left to fall. The boy goes low, sustaining back up right off of NK Inc. The last Nexus turret falling. NK, can you make it back to the base in time? Not enough to take him out. Now it's Pragmatic on the Summoner platform. Curse devastating the Nexus turrets, devastating the Nexus. Finish the game 24-9, 9-3 in turrets as well. 17,000 gold lead will give Curse the victory over Velocity Esports.